it's impossible to watch any Minions movie and not feel way happier than before you watched it. But what if I told you there are dozens of details and Easter eggs hidden in the latest Minions movie you didn't even realize existed? Would you believe it?
Piñata, carbonara, lasagna.
And one of the ones I laughed at the most when I realized it was when the Minions are in the desert and a massive brawl breaks out and the robber, who is an actor, rides past on a horse. And all the little yellow guys look at him with admiration and call him Big Boss. If you pause this scene at the right time, you'll notice that one of the Minions was simply giving the other one a wedgie, kind of like what the bullies used to do. And there's more. The underwear has red little hearts on it. And later, when they are already on the train trying to catch up to the same bank robber, we can see a pretty cool detail. If you look closely, you'll notice that on the front of the locomotive there is a number 3 clearly visible, which is a reference to the fact that Minions and Monsters is exactly the 3rd solo movie of the little yellow guys. And there is another incredible reference to one of the main characters of the Despicable Me franchise that we were able to find right in the sequence that practically everyone missed. When the actor playing the bank robber is fleeing from the Minions' pursuit, he passes by a 1930s car. And if you pause at the right moment, you will see that his license plate is MGO614. Those letters on the plate are a clear reference to Gru and Lucy's oldest daughter, Margot. So, had you noticed all these cool and super funny details? Get ready, because our list is just getting started. Today, we are going to blow your mind. When the director takes the Minions inside the studio, we can see that they are going to do a fight scene against a group of barbarian Vikings. And in the scene where the Vikings are shown, if you blink for a second, you'll miss that one of the extras is simply picking his nose. And it is exactly this same Viking who many didn't even really notice, but in the sequence is holding and swinging one of the Minions by the feet. And the Minion is simply holding onto his metal hat so it doesn't fall off. But the funniest detail was about to happen. When the Minions finally decide to fight back and team up to give a beating to the actors playing the barbarians, if you pause the scene, you will notice that while some Minions are holding weapons and another holds a chainsaw, we can see that one of them is holding a roll of toilet paper, another is holding a plunger, and another is holding a potted plant with a daisy inside. And it's worth noting that the guy Henry destroyed with the sledgehammer is there in the corner all crushed. And when the director says the scene was perfect, the Minions celebrate. And in the background, one of them is simply shaking hands and congratulating one of the extras who was just passed out. Truly, Illumination is excellent at adding these background details. But for sure, the funniest detail that practically nobody saw happened right in the sequence, when the Minions are still celebrating, and we can see that one of them simply kisses a dummy that he himself is holding. Maybe you didn't even notice this small detail, but when the Minions' crossing of the ocean is shown after they almost finished off their former boss, the giant Cyclops, we can notice that the mean-looking crab on the map itself hides from them when they get close. It's as if he knew about the reputation for destruction that the little yellow guys have wherever they go. The crab really could have warned the sorcerer who turned into dust, couldn't he? Still on the map, when they are on their way to the sinister wizard's tower, we can see that there is an indication that there is a volcano nearby, and its name is simply Po Po Po. Man, this is so funny because everything on the map is written in Minionese, which is the language of the Minions. And for them, an erupting volcano makes the sound po po po, so they just decided to call it that. And if you remember correctly, you'll recall that they know that sound very well, since their first boss on solid ground ended up being extinguished when he fell into a volcano in the first Minions movie. Before we continue, just a quick heads up. If you also enjoy movies, series, and cartoons, click the subscribe button right now, alright? Now, talking about the interior of the evil wizard's tower, whom the Minions served for a while, we can notice a very interesting detail. In the background, on the wall, we can see a face of a beast carved in stone that looks like an evil being, which mixes a lion with horns and has its mouth full of teeth wide open. If you're a bit more old school, like the animators of the Minions movies, you'll definitely think this looks a lot like the dragon's mouth carved in stone that always appeared at the end of every opening of the Dungeons & Dragons cartoon from the 80s. Doubting it? Ask your parents or your grandparents. they will definitely remember. In that same Hall of Evil governed by the cruel wizard, we can notice some decoration items that are somewhat macabre. For example, we can see a skeleton of a small adult, which looks more like a goblin here. And further down, a skull. For sure, that is quite bizarre. That's not to mention the jar full of ripped-out eyes. That was definitely a lair for doing some very twisted things, wouldn't you agree? Including, after the not-so-tragic loss of the evil wizard, more than a century later when the minions are in the California desert, James and Henry are looking at some drawings, and we see exactly the drawing made back when they served the wizard. And in this moment, we can see a reference to one of the greatest works in the history of fiction and adventure, The Lord of the Rings. This is because on the sheet where the drawing of the evil wizard, the minion's former boss, is, we can see that James drew a minion, which was probably himself, with his arms open along with the phrase, "You shall not pass," in Minionese, which is a reference to the scene where the wizard Gandalf faces the demon Balrog. Furthermore, we can see below the drawing the name Lord of the Rainbows, making the reference to this masterpiece of literature and cinema even clearer. When the minions are already in Hollywood and are on board the Runaway train that is passing through the center of the city, shortly before they manage to dodge the mother who is with her baby, we can notice that on a wall of one of the buildings there is an advertisement for a milk brand called Milk. Very original, by the way, that name. The detail is that shortly after, when they need to dodge the group of elderly people who are crossing the street, if you look again, you will find the same advertisement once more, on a wall very similar to the previous one. Don't you agree? Unfortunately, the poor clowns didn't have as much luck, and ended up being dragged by the train. I mean, only one of them was. The funny thing is that if you put it in slow motion, you'll notice that one of the clowns who managed to escape jumped into a vehicle. The scene is so fast that if you don't put it in slow motion, you definitely won't be able to notice. But the most interesting detail is that the only clown who was caught by the train, shortly before it breaks, ends up doing exactly the same thing. He jumps into another vehicle. It's more or less like the Illumination animators had used the same animation, just changing the colors of the clown's outfit, don't you think? The company that is making all those movies that we see the minions in is Bright Brothers, which is a clear reference to Warner Brothers, which we all know very well. And the reference is so big that if you look in the background, you'll be able to see a water tower with the initials B and B for Bright Brothers. Exactly like the visual brand of Warner Brothers was for many years, where there were the letters W and B on a water tower as well. And right at the entrance of the studios, we can see a sculpted figure of each of the two brothers, who are overweight, with Greek clothes, which reminds us of when the minions were servants of the evil Cyclops. But the detail that few were able to notice is that when the scene goes to the interior of the studio, we can see the main building of the studio, and we notice gold decoration on the sides of the building where we can see 2 film reels and 2 round figures underneath, one on each side. The detail that few noticed is that those rounded forms under the golden film reels are exactly the 2 brothers who own the studio. After all this, the minions end up becoming world-famous movie stars. And most people don't even know, but their released movies are actually parodies of famous films that were really released in the past. For example, one of the Minions movies has exactly the same name as an Italian comedy and Western film released in 1967 called Il Bello, Il Brutto, Il Cretino. After the Minions become a true craze because of their movies, several products with the face and style of the little yellow guys start being sold among the fans. But the most interesting thing, actually, is that they become the poster boys for several brands, as we can see on the billboards in the background. There is even a goggle repair company, just like the ones the yellow guys themselves use, and also a bookstore. Besides this, we can even see a version of the Nutcracker, that classic little guard from Christmas Tales, just in Minion format, in addition to a sign with a version of the Minions in the style of 1930s black and white cartoons. And to finish our list, when the Minions are in their superstar life relaxing on their lounge chairs, if you look carefully, you'll notice that one of them is reading a gossip magazine. And on the cover is a question, secret couple? And we can see a woman next to one of the Minions. which shows that tabloids have always been the way they are. We've reached the end of this video, but if you like having your mind blown, this is the right place. That's why we left 2 really good videos for you to click, watch, and best of all, stay with us.